Good, happy weekend. I was going to say good something. I forgot. Happy weekend, whatever. Oh, goodness. I won't say happy Easter because we don't celebrate the that holiday for a lot of reasons. But, yeah, there's a resurrection day. Just wasn't tomorrow. Anyhow, you know, I am a blessed person. I have the best husband in the world. Yeah, we've encountered a lot of issues with health, his degenerative disease with the back thing, and you know, but he's still the best man I know, and I've been blessed beyond measure since I picked him when I was not quite 19. So, you know, I mean, kind of dodged a bullet there. Could have been really bad, right? He was 20, he was 4 years older than me, but he was almost 4 years older, but he was much more mature than most that age. Definitely more mature than I was today, because he had to take care of a sick mother and all that. But you know, I have a beautiful piece of property that I absolutely love. One reason I'd rather build on my other lot than go somewhere else in another neighborhood. But anyway, I want to talk to you about a few things. I don't want to keep you long. I know famous last words, you know me. But I want to show you a garden project we just did. We just made us a little tunnel in our main garden. I'm kind of abandoning, for the most part, the far garden for this year. We're going to kill those elderberries. They'll still come back. But the ones that are really spreading badly, we're going to try to take those out. I mean, like, and do something I don't normally do, and do vegetation killer. It's inside the fenced area. The chickens can't get in there. The cat doesn't climb in there anymore. He's blind. So anyway, we're going to try to do that. But we're going to work on the house, what I call the house garden, the close garden. Some people would call it a kitchen garden, but this is going to be our main garden. And my husband had the idea to put this tunnel in, because I showed him a video where somebody was growing tomatoes on a tunnel where they were hanging down where you could pick them up here. And I said, this looks really neat. And so he started looking at that, and he loved that. So he went ahead and got some rebar, some PVC pipe, and some connectors, and he put this tunnel in. So there's a new tunnel. And we're going to take one of the long pieces of fencing with the steel post out of the far garden, because there's several rows where we plant peas, and the deer don't jump in there because they don't have a landing place in there, and there's too much fencing back behind each other, and they just don't have a good place to land, so they don't really jump in that garden. But I want to take out the center one, the one in the center run, or at least half of it, 8 feet of it, and then down the middle of the tunnel, we're going to put it right down the middle of the tunnel. I was going to put some tomato cages down there and grow some of the tomatoes that were not indeterminate. I have a couple of determinate, which means they only grow so high and they don't grow any further. The indeterminate just keep going. I mean, they'll go 15 feet high if you let them. A lot of them. So I have some of those watermelon beefsteak, and beefsteaks I grew from 2017, which germinated really well. And so we're going to do the tomatoes, but also we're growing some more lima beans, because when we first did lima beans, we didn't produce a lot, and they're vining. And I didn't get a lot of them, but when I only got like 4 pint jars or something. But when we ate them, it was like, oh my gosh, these are good. And I thought I didn't really like lima beans. These are excellent. So they're called, the variety is King of the Garden. And they were, but they didn't grow a lot, because I don't know what the deal was that year. But I think we're going to try to let some of the limas grow up. And I told my husband, he went to get some supplies at Walmart and whatnot. And I said, can you get me a climbing rose? If they have any climbing roses, I don't care what kind of, as long as it's climbing and it's not red. I just don't want the red rose. I want, you know, I don't care if it's pink or if it's white or if it's tropical colors. Just get me a climbing rose if they have one. And I'm going to plant it on the back one, the back arch. So anyway, that's what we're doing now. I started seeds. I don't know if they're going to do so good. I started them too early for around here, and I don't have any good. I have seed mats that heat, but they're on the dining room table, so the windows are. It's a double window, but it's, you know, over to one side, so they keep growing that way, and you have to turn them around so they grow the other way and exercise the little things. So I don't know how they're going to do, but we're not going to grow too much. I like the slicing tomatoes for my burgers in the summer, and peppers, you know, bell peppers for, you know, maybe making Philly cheesesteak kind of things, or whatever. So that's what we grow, basically. I'm going to grow some limas. I'm not going to grow any green beans this year. I don't believe I'm not going to grow any cucumbers. We canned cucumbers last time. We have a lot of jars of cucumbers, pickles to eat, so we don't need to do that again. I don't eat that many pickles. Not that many. I used the Mrs. Wages. My husband came home with, I didn't tell him to get it. He came home with a pack of Mrs. Wages bread and butter pickles and a pack of dills from Mrs. Wages, that brand where the seasoning. And we've always seasoned our own. And I said, well, we didn't really have to do that, but we'll use it. And I use the bread and butter, I use the dill. I didn't care for the bread and butter that much. I got jars of it and I'll eat them, but they didn't crisp up. They didn't stay crisp. The dills, on the other hand, those are pretty darn good. So, and I don't eat a lot of dill pickles. So anyway, and now the sweet pickle, I used to eat sweet gherkins when I was a kid. Really sweet. Now it's like you turn your mouth inside out sweet to me now after being mostly carnivore for several years. Anyway, so we got the garden tunnel going on. I have finished that quilt that I thought I was going to pull my eyebrows out over. I mean, the thing was, and I've struggled with the decision, do I sell it? Do I sell my machine? Do I not? I said, I'm not feeling it anymore. This quilt should not have been this difficult. It was such a struggle, and my quilting is crappy. I mean, sometimes there's some places it's good. Then you can tell when I lost my focus or I had machine troubles. And I had machine troubles with 2 machines. I had one service and then I sold it. And it was in excellent working shape when I sold it. And then I want a bigger throat anyway. And then I had kept my Juki, which is I'm calling it a junkie. And I mean, that's overkill. I mean, it's okay. It's just the buttons are like the needle up, needle down button is on the right, when I'm used to it being on the left, and a bigger button, and it's all it's a bunch of blue small buttons in a background of dark blue, and so it's like, where's the needle up down button? I'm always looking for it because that's where I'm not used to it being, and it's just not, to me, an intuitive machine. A couple of other things I prefer that it doesn't have. I did finish the quilt on it. I did. It didn't screw up. I finished the quilt on the Juki. It can be done. It can be done. But now I'm torn about. I kept thinking, was I having a hard time to decide to quit and put this quilt away for a long time because I just was over it, like my husband's over oil painting. He did beautiful portraits of my roosters, my rooster, Lady Hawk's rooster, Lancelot, and he was about to do one of the bash, and he had the canvas, and he was about to do it, and he just quit, and he said, I can't do it anymore. I'm done. He's been an artist since he was a child. I've only been quilting for 30 years or so. And his has been since he was a child, and he quit. So he said, I think you're just over it. You're just tired, and it's just not inspired anymore. And I said, I think that's probably right. Fanny, you turn around, come back here, kitty. Don't you go down that driveway. He sat down. He's such a good cat, except when he really doesn't want to listen, then he's just gone. He's blind, but I can't keep him at home. He would be very miserable. But he has a path he's walked, and he's got the muscle memory, and he goes the same path he always walked. I just have to watch out for him because he cannot see. He can't even find the steps when he comes home. He kind of does by trial and error. That's why they have whiskers, so they can see with their face, sort of. And he's got up, and he's going to keep on walking because he visits the neighbor over there. I don't know if they've even noticed that he's blind. His eyes are like marbles. But I wasn't sure, was it me or is the machine? It has so much machine trouble with 2 different machines. And it's like you get on a roll and you're cruising along, and all of a sudden, bam, hit a brick wall. Machine malfunction. And then you fiddle with it for 30 minutes, and then all of a sudden it starts to work, and you're like, what was wrong in the first place? I don't get it. I've tried this, and this. I don't know what was wrong to start with. And now I've seemed to have fixed it, but probably not really, because it's going to do it again, and it did. So I had to have both of them. Both of them were serviced, okay? But I finished on the Juki. So now I'm thinking, I'm going to sell my Juki also. I'm probably not going to sell the table that my husband made for the Janome 7700. That's what the Juki's in now. It's not big enough for us. I mean, it's a smaller machine than the Janome. But and the Janome 7700 was not the one giving me trouble. The one giving me trouble was the 6500, which is a real different machine. And anyway, so I'm just trying to figure out what to do with my hobby. I'm going to sell the Juki. I am, because if I'm going to get another machine, it's going to be a machine I really want. It's going to be something with a great big old throat and one that's got a good reputation for reliability. That's going to cost a little bit. And hopefully it will fit in the opening he's made in the table. If not, some of the ones I've been looking at are actually several inches wider this way, and he would have to cut 2 or 3 inches more on the opening on one side for those. But he can do it. And I boxed up a lot of fabric. I went through all my fabrics. And used to be I liked to do the piecing, and the quilting was kind of like, because I didn't do it so well, so I didn't really like it. I mean, at first it was by hand, and it takes forever. But then when I learned to machine quilt, it was like, I don't know. I started to enjoy it more, but it took a long time to get to where I am now, even though by this quilt you can tell I made a whole lot of progress. I mean, to me anyway. I'm a perfectionist with that kind of stuff. And I'm trying not to be. You look at it as a whole, as you can see in the picture, and it looks fine. If you get close up, though, you realize you can see where I've lost my focus. You can see where I had trouble with the machine, that kind of thing. But it's finished except for the binding, which I'm going to work on today. I have to cut it, make it, iron it, attach it to the back, one side of the quilt, and then fold it over and sew it to the back, and that'll be done. And then I can sell the Juki. And I'm going to sell 3 boxes of fabric with it. Beautiful first quality quilters cottons, but when I used to piece, I would put together all these beautiful prints and things. And now, since I focus on the quilting part, I want the fabric to be solid or tone on tone, so the quilting actually shows up. So when you do quilting on a busy fabric, you don't really see the quilting unless you turn it to the back. And so I kept aside some of my favorite prints that weren't too busy. And some of the tone on tones and all the solid fabrics that I have, and I'm going to get rid of the rest with this machine. So this is a quilter's liquidation, and I can't mail it. I'm going to have to just put it up on one of Facebook yard sales for the local area. So I'm going to do that. Now, am I going to get another machine? So that's still up in the air right now. I don't want to mess around with machines just because they're less expensive and I got a bargain. I want to get the machine that I want. If I'm going to continue this hobby, I've got to have a better machine. It's not that the 6500 was a bad machine, but this one had a lot of glitches on it. So, that's what's going on with my head with that. The chickens are fine. Juliet, she's the one that kind of brown and white and kind of looked like Ripley, but not as dark. Poor Ripley. I miss her. She was so funny. Juliet's naked. She has nothing on her chest or abdomen. She's got nothing on her back, and her tops of her wings are just quills. She has nothing on her neck. That girl is naked, and it was cold last night. It's going to be 70s, and she's out there free ranging and everything. Okay, one thing I want to talk to you about. Look up about Oregon's attack on small farms. The Marxism is alive and well in Oregon. They are trying to make small farms, like a lady, a specific lady had 3 milk cows. 3 milk cows. 3. And they said because she ties up her cow to milk it, she qualifies as a CAFO, a CAFO. A concentrated animal feedlot, my God, I forgot the O. Operation. Concentrated animal feedlot operation. And so they're in confinement. So, and also they said if the cow walks across a concrete, like my concrete threshold I just made in the barn to stop rats, if she walks across concrete, or your chickens are kept on concrete or gravel, you qualify as a CAFO, and you are subject to all the regulations and the permits and licenses and the inspections and everything that everybody else is. Bull hockey. Every time you hear government overreach, think about how it relates to self-sufficiency. This is the point. Self-sufficiency will always be the enemy of government. Always. Government wants control. Self-sufficiency says, I'm free. I get to feed myself. I get to know what's in my food. I get to know what's not in my food. That's tricky these days, knowing what's not in your food. Truth in labeling? Forget that. It's out the window. Half the time you can't even read the ingredients on packages. At least I know what my chickens are fed. My chickens are not confined at all. I mean, yes, they walk across a piece of concrete. And you're going to tell me that qualifies as a commercial farm now? No, that's not happening. But if people comply, if people don't fight, look what they did to Amos Miller in Pennsylvania. Because he had a community agriculture club, I guess for lack of a better word, and people signed up to get his products done the way he does them, the old-fashioned natural way. The government came down on him like a load of bricks, and they're still after him. I would buy from him all day long. He had no complaints about him. It's all about control and if we're all self-sufficient and independent and believe in our freedom, where's that leave the government? Now, it was supposed to leave the government in the dust. According to our forefathers, we are in judgment of the law. If they see, the problem with this in Oregon is don't dismiss it because it's in Oregon. This could sweep across the nation. They backed off on some of those requirements because they got sued, and the dairy farmer said, well, that's an undue burden to do that to us. You can't do that to us. We can't afford that. And the big commercial dairy industry was was actually after them because they said they were unfair competition. How are 3 cows on a farm unfair competition? If you're getting that much competition for 3 cows on somebody's farm, then you suck at your job, frankly. But if you don't stand up against this is going to keep happening. If people don't put their foot down and say, no more, you're not controlling me. It's unconstitutional, you can't do that. Oh, this was why this country exists in the first place, is because of government overreach. And people who practiced a lot of civil disobedience, which is what you should do, and that's what I'm going to do. If this sweeps across, and this state that I live in is kind of, they fancy themselves to be the New York of the South. And along with all the crap that goes with that. This is why I live up here in the mountains, where I live in a place that's very rural, and we didn't even have zoning when I first moved here. There was no real zoning of anything that I remember. When this house was built, there was no zoning in the 1994 or whatever. So I'm going to keep raising my chickens, and nobody's going to stop me because the government doesn't give me my rights. My Creator gives me my rights. The government can't take it away. They may think they can. I tell you, the Marxists in the White House right now, well, whoever's puppeteering, the man has no brain. He's gone. He is not in control of anything. Obama 3.0 or something is what's going on here. Come on, Finn, are you scared? Come on. He's running down the driveway. He's looking behind him. I think he's scared. Come on, Finn, hurry. Come on. Come on, baby. Come on. That cat. The control is out of control. And they think they're going to tell you how to manage your chickens, what you can and you can't do. And if the Oregon government, see the point of the whole thing is to stop you from being able to grow a garden. So they have things about gardens too. To grow a garden, to have any livestock at all. And excuse me, my chickens are pets. They're just pets. I happen to like chickens. They're my pets. Yeah, they lay eggs, and of course I eat the eggs. I don't sell the eggs. I used to people in my neighborhood who really wanted when I had a lot of extra. But I'm not going to stop doing it. Citizens stand in judgment of the law. That is the way it was set up by our forefathers. That's what jury nullification is. Even though a defendant may be technically guilty of a crime, if the jury determines that the crime is unfair, that the law is unfair or unconstitutional, they can nullify all of that and declare him not guilty. That's the way it's set up. We're supposed to be controlling the law, controlling government. We're supposed to be keeping it in check. That's what the Second Amendment was for, to keep overreaching government in check. Doesn't mean we're going to take on the military with a rifle. Come on. I mean, people keep saying, well, you think you're, even Joe Biden says, well, you think you're going to do anything, you're going to stand up against the military with your little AR-15. Well, no, of course not. But the military's not going to show up at my door, most likely, because I have chickens. There's going to be some code enforcement, something from codes that were made after I got my chickens 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago. But please look that up. Oregon effectively shuts down small farms. That is, and they backed off on it, but it was said it's not permanent. They're backing off of it because of the court case. But this is why people need to stand up and back them off. If you don't, you will have to eat the crap that's in the grocery stores. You will have to eat that crap, and you don't know what's in it. It could be bugs. You don't want anything that comes from China. China has no standards. Even makeup that is made in China, there's a company called Shop Miss A, and the makeup is really cheap. Well, I had something one time from them. Now, I don't remember why I got that. I can't even remember. But people were talking about it, and I thought, okay, well, I'll get something. Well, you know what? It burned my eyelids. That's from China. You don't want anything from China. Food? Food, for real. You don't want any food from there. They have a 100-year plan to take over this country. So why would you want to be eating what they give you? And you don't want chicken that's been processed in China and brought back here. And labeling doesn't always tell you that happened. They've been talking about mRNA in pork. Well, you need to be careful on your pork too. Anyway, so look that up. This is a hill worth dying on. To tell people, oh, you can't grow vegetables with chemical fertilizers and insecticides. They'll let the commercial people do that, but, oh, you can't do that. That's not safe. And then you say, well, I don't do that. I'll use chicken manure. Oh, my God, how nasty is that? We can't have you do that. That's a health hazard. No, it isn't. I've never had any problems with me getting something from my chickens or their eggs, ever. And it won't happen. But self-sufficiency. We can't have that. Because they won't do what the government says. People who are self-sufficient, feeding their own family, they don't have to buy from this commercial all this commercial garbage. They don't have to eat at McDonald's, which is scary enough, and they don't have to be told. But see, all of that about self-sufficiency, it's all about self-sufficiency. Anytime you see a government enact some new regulation or law about the water or the food or your animals, think of it in terms of they're trying to kill your self-sufficiency and thereby control you. Everything. That, depopulation, it's another control. Oh, goodness gracious. I need to get something to drink this morning. And another way to control you. And electricity, saying everybody needs to be on electric because, gas is not safe and coal is not safe and you can't have gas stoves and you can't do that. All of that is sort of try to get it. Electric cars. If you have an electric car, you can't travel very far. You're going to sit there every 50 miles and charge your car and sit there and wait for it to charge? Oh my God, those things are so dangerous. And disposing of those batteries is extremely dangerous. But the whole push for electric everything is also about control. Oh, you won't take that injection we demand you take? Well, let's see how cold you get this winter when we turn off your electricity. Oh, well, see, you don't have gas. They're going to outlaw wood stoves. They have a wood stove. You don't have gas. You don't have nothing. You have electric heat, and they turn it off in the winter, and they say, well, you can get it turned back on. All you got to do is take that shot. It's all about control, every dang bit of it. So, I'm thinking, do I have anything else I was going to talk to you about? I don't know. It's a beautiful sunny day. It's going to be in the 70s. I need to go and finish the binding on that quilt and get it on so I can sell my machine. And the extras that come with it and the fabric, you know, quilters liquidation. Maybe somebody will be interested in that. The other lady who bought the machine, she said, "You had this one for sale." And I was about to buy this one when you took it down, when it sold. I said, "Well, it didn't sell. I just took it down because had my other one went to service, and I couldn't get rid of them both at the same time. I finished my quilt I was working on. So anyway, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have crochet. You know, that's fine. It's fun. Michael, I hope you enjoy those lap cans. Or maybe you've got somebody in mind to give one to or something. I hope you enjoy those. And thank you for always being here and being so supportive of this channel. Very much appreciate that. But y'all, self-sufficiency is the enemy of government. And when you're the enemy of government, you put a target on your back. So be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. Appear harmless as a dove, but be wise about who you tell what and that sort of thing. And, you know, think about, run scenarios in your head. What if this happened? What if these people showed up at my door and they said, "Well, I can't have chickens because I got a concrete floor and I have to be a commercial operation," and blah, blah, blah. Whatever they say. Run the scenarios in your head, and I guarantee you can run 1,000 and you still won't come up with the one that's going to happen to you probably, but you can try. You can try to anticipate things like that. And I do have a new heat pump. As of yesterday, it took them 6 hours to get it in, you know, to the tune of $6,800, but you know, the other one was 30 years old, and you couldn't even get parts for it anymore. So yeah, so after 3 years of not having a heat pump at all, and we don't usually accept any extremes of temperature, extremely hot or extremely cold, when the wood stove can't keep up, or when the AC is just, we have an unusual round of humidity here, like we don't usually have in the mountains in the summer. But if we did, sometimes just, you know, the window AC, we have a window AC, and I'm gonna take that out. But yeah, sometimes it just need a little bit of time with cool air to take the edge off. Anyway, I'm going to let you go. It's a beautiful day, and I got to go get to work. So have a good one, everybody. Bye.